Well. What do you freaking know? What do you know? You guys make this HHSS, this Happier Secondary School alumni, okay? You guys make him look like the champion he truly is, okay? You guys make him look like the champion he truly is. Yo, it was only last week I made a vid talking about PBC boys and GBSS boys and the disrespect that the Southern clique has for rural Grenadians. And I spoke about Minister Cornwall. And I said they do not respect this man because of his rural background. Okay? And that when things go awry, they would blame him. Now, what do you know? On the newspaper today, okay? What are they saying? They're actually saying they're trying to get rid of Minister Cornwall. Okay? And they gave some analysis by some ex-Revo guy. I don't know who they're talking about. Okay? But what is pertinent is that particular ex-Revo guy said that whatever projections and public speeches they made, that whatever speeches and bravado that they showed in public, when it came to tact and diplomacy behind the scenes, they made every effort to try to simmer down the rhetoric and come to some understanding with Washington. Of course they did. That is what, you guys want to be like Morris? That is what Morris Bishop did when he traveled to the United States. Okay? To go to try to appease the United States and the hawkish President Ronald Reagan and administration at the time. That's how he dealt with it. Okay? And when he came back, these deluded, moronic fanatics hated him for that and went after him. And so, oh, look at him. He's weak. He's soft. So all this bull and crap about let them come, you'll bury them in the sea. What are you going to bury them with? Some old World War II outdated anti-aircraft? For all the valiant effort that the young Grenadian men and women could have made, it would not have put a dent in anything that was coming at them. Okay? And when I say put a dent, I'm talking about the overall military effort, because they did put dents in a couple of things, but I'm talking about the overall military effort. You understand? It wouldn't make a difference. As a matter of fact, there's a story that is related. I don't know how it's true, but someone related that story. That one of the upper echelon in the army at the time was so terrified, okay? And he said, oh my God, they're going to sink us in the ground with the B-52s. That is the level of anxiety that existed. I mean, you guys should know, it can't drop no B-52 bomb on Grenada. You want to sing the island? That is why they use AC-130s. You crazy? B-52? So for all the bravado and all the let them come. And it's so sad because it seems in some respects that a little bit of history is repeating itself. You have a bunch of bravado. And I call it political delusion in a sense. Because for you guys to encourage the mass of Grenadian people in this nonsense, that is sickening. That is sickening. For you to have the Grenadian people believe in some respects that they can project some sort of power and they can stand up to the US and talk all that nonsense. And for your imaginative relationships, and you're dependent on your imaginative relationships that you have with the so-called other side. And oh, the other side are rising and the US is going down. So you could talk a lot of nonsense. Let me tell you something, okay? If crap really hits the fan, you think these people are going to come to your assistance? Are you crazy? There is precedence already. Did they come to your assistance in 1983? And just imagine back then, the world was a whole different climate, okay? And you had concrete economic and military relationships with the so-called other side. And yet still, they couldn't concretely come to your assistance when the crap hit the fan. So imagine now, listen, keep your asses square, focus on the betterment of Grenada and the little you can do to preserve the economy of Grenada. Listen, listen, get down to reality, okay? And stop deluding the mass of Grenadians, especially the youth. Because, some of them are gullible. Some of them are sensational. Some of them are a kind of virtual world. They don't deal with reality. You understand what I'm saying? But you have a responsibility as leadership, as government, to be realistic and practical with the people of Grenada. So now back to the Morris and Revel Comrade saga. Well, of course, political crises precipitated by economic crises were happening at the time. So that in itself was a climate and a recipe for disaster. Now, I warned you guys. I've analyzed from A to Z. And everything I've been saying has been spot on. You guys see. So as I have said, you make this HHSS champion, okay, look good. You make him look like the champion he truly is. And you GBSS boys and you PBC boys know who I am. My peers, you know who I am. You know I used to smack you guys around back in the days. And here, I'm not advocating violence though. I'm not talking physically, okay? I'm talking about intellectually and sports-wise. But if needed be, someone could get a judo or a headlock. Now, I said in one of the last videos that I went with the dream team we had at that time, Happy Hill Secondary School basketball team, and we went on to PBC grounds and smacked them around. We ran rings around them. Ask Don Purcell. He knows. Ask him. And the GBSS boys too got the handsome thrashing by HHSS on Carnage Court. You guys remember that? You guys remember that? You remember when I did the reverse? You remember when I did the layup on the fast break and I actually showed off when I was doing it? Put the ball behind my head and then roll it in? You guys remember that? And the whole Carnage erupted? You remember that? Yeah, that was us. Let Jao tell you, our original baller and Carnage stalwart in the sports, every sport. Let him tell you. Let him tell you about the days when Raman Steele and I would play against he and Keith Fletcher. Okay? Two man. And we go hard. Let him tell you about that. What do you guys know? Huh? You think it's any mystery that Carnage baller and stalwart Jao was able to smash everything in his way? Okay? You think it's any mystery? It's no mystery. He honed his skills on the Carnage playground, okay? On the Carnage court, he honed his skills. So you see, sometimes when we come across as a little arrogant at times, it's not arrogance. It's self-confidence in being able to back up everything we say in words with action. Because we've done it and we continue to do it. Okay? So don't be fooled by the old Kung Fu master. Don't be fooled by the pretty boy looks of the old Kung Fu master. You know, if you PBC boys and GBSS boys want a rematch on the court, let's make it happen. But seriously, back to what I was saying. I predicted that Mr. Denis Cornwall eventually would have been the fall guy, or would become a fall guy. If not tomorrow, if not the day after, it may be the week after, a few months after, or within a year. Okay, I said it. So there's no surprises here that, it's all circulated in the media right now. Now, who called it first? Who called it first? As I always said, okay, it is not no mark of brilliance when things are such that the common herd sees it, okay? And it's as clear as daylight. But what is the mark of brilliance? Is the ability to assess situations and with critical thinking and logic come to reasonable conclusions, okay? I had some very good math teachers. Mr. Sempi from Guave, you're the man, the pure math teacher, okay? In what we used to call National College back in the days. Mr. Sylvester, okay? As they would affectionately call him, Ras. You're the man for all that statistics you taught me. You're the man. And without a doubt, can't leave out, pay extra due respect to Mr. Sen Bernard, okay? The man who taught me and introduced me to the mechanics of materials in National College, okay? That was our mechanics of material professor, okay? Mr. Sen Bernard, which we would use from the basics and fundamentals of mechanics of material, we will use later on for strength of materials in engineering. Now, Mr. Sen Bernard, ruin Frieden, sir, ruin Frieden. You taught us all that we needed to know. I could talk about Mr. Noel, Chief. The last I remember, but that was decades ago. He was working with Grand Coda, but he used to teach us agriculture, fundamentals of agriculture again. That is why when I was planting my plot of cauliflower in Happy Hill Secondary School, we were able to win nationwide for that plot of cauliflower. Okay? I was able to win. Okay? $500 at that time. You're talking about over 30-something years ago. So that was a lot of money for the school. Okay? With that plot of cauliflower. Okay? That's on record from the Ministry of Agriculture. So, you guys talking about agriculture now? You guys want to talk to us and tell us about agriculture? Okay? That was a little plot on the school grounds. Okay? And as I said, won nationwide for the best plot of cauliflower. And you come telling us about agriculture? Please. Please. You youngins come telling us about agriculture? Please. So you guys don't know. Okay? Don't look at people simple. They just don't know. If I were to talk about teachers and the people instrumental in forging who we are, the list will be forever. I'll be at it forever. Okay? I could talk about Mistress Hosford, who taught us English language. Okay? Who taught us how to speak. Okay? I could go on and on. I could go on. I could talk about Miss Ferrara. Okay? Who taught us the fundamentals. I'm not even a business guy. That's not my forte. You know what I'm saying? I'm more along the science direction. But I could talk about Miss Ferrara, who taught us the principles of business. Fundamental principles of business. POB. Okay? That's why I tell you HHSS was an exceptional and probably is still an exceptional school. Okay? So from those fundamental principles of business, that is why today you can't fool us with a Project Polaris. You can't talk all this nonsense in business and fool us because we are well grounded and we were taught by the best. Okay? When you learn the fundamentals, okay, of the principles of mechanics of materials from an old general like Mr. Sen Bernard, you think you'll get bamboozled on a closure project? That is why we could stay out here, okay? Not on the ground, and tell you exactly what was going on with a closure project. Fundamentals, okay? Taught to us by Mr. Sen Bernard, okay? There you have it. I could go back, and people have passed on. Mr. Kenny Hobson, who was instrumental in the sports in Happy Hill Secondary School, okay? I could go on. There's too much to mention. And he used to be so funny sometimes. He'll come in the middle assembly and he'll say, okay, these are the lists of people who still have the school uniforms for football. Mr. Perry, please bring back the school uniform. It doesn't belong to you.
Mr. Sempe, for all the pure math. And even my partner, Mr. Dean Patterson, who came back right after he left school and taught us for a bit in Happy Hill Secondary School. You're the man. Props to you. I'm going to give you guys your props. Mr. Straker. Okay, I think he was from the Guave area. You're the man. You taught me some fundamentals in math. Props to you. And, of course, exemplary leadership. A man among men. Mr. Hudson McPhail. Okay? The principal in my time. The man. This is a man who was very instrumental. And for those who know, in turning me around from a very dangerous and lethal path. Okay? That is a man. And he used extreme strategy and cunning to do it. Not by brute force. Okay? He incorporated me into the police force of the school. He made me a prefect. So I had no choice but to behave. I had to be on the side of the law and now lead by example. So instead of judoing men and causing disruption, I was judoing them in assembly to fall in line. And all the other teachers who were instrumental, okay, in forging us to what we have become. Okay, I could go on and on. Mr. Joseph, okay, fundamentals in agriculture and biology. Okay, Miss Henry, Philip Henry, okay, amazing. Not just as a teacher of intellect, not just as a teacher in terms of intellect and academia, but in terms of love and emotion and nurturing of her students. Exceptional woman. Okay? When we had people like those forging who we would become, how could we fail them? How could we? I wasn't so much a Spanish guy, had a little bit of it, but guess what? Mr. Lewis, Introduction to Spanish. That is why you see his initial introduction into foreign languages, guess what? Prompted me to become a German speaker. And of course, with experience among Germanic people. And in the physical athletic world, okay? Well, you guys saw the last time. Personal trainer, Happy Secondary School. Okay, after school martial arts class. Mr. Chicken, you guys know who he is. You saw me a video with him the last time. You know who he is. So it is no mystery, okay, that we could sit down now, analyze situations, and predict what is going to happen. You don't have to be able to read palms to predict what is going to happen. But again, by the fundamentals, you can assess situations and you could see what direction things are headed. It's not that difficult. And at the time, I'm going to give you guys a little background. It was no mystery that we were sharpshooters in basketball. It was no mystery that we had the dream team. Guess who was training us? Guess who was training us? Okay? The one and only, okay? The one and only Mr. Hippolyte, okay? Affectionately known as Bugman from Tongue. That was our coach in basketball, okay? So ain't no surprise. Ain't no surprise that we were the dream team. Okay? So there you have it. The people who know. Okay? The people who know. So when you guys see people talking things, okay, they ain't talking out of their asses. Okay? All I can say, we were blessed. And I am sure probably right now they have teachers with the same sort of caliber and who have the care and concern for the kids like the teachers that we were fortunate to have when we were growing up. And now don't talk about the neighborhood people now, okay? Don't talk about the neighborhood people who contributed actively and passively to our actual development. Okay, don't talk about them because they taught us a lot of skills, a lot of life skills, and a lot of things that we needed to learn. And I'll just put it this way. In several aspects of life, some of the most important skills you'd need for survival and self-preservation. And these were real men, real cock and balls men from the area, okay? And I'm talking about serious warlords, not warlords involved in petty, foolish, naked violence among each other, but men of guts, men of courage, valiant men who actually stood up in defense of their land against tremendous odds, okay? And with horrible leadership leading them. But they intrinsically had guts, intrinsically were men of steel, okay? So these are the cock and balls men that I grew up around, and I was lucky to have growing up around, okay? And they made us men just like them, real men. And don't even get me started now with my St. Andrews connection and my St. Andrews experience, in particularly Grenville, Labbe, Gladstone Road. Don't let me even tell you about that, okay? Another set of real cock and balls men that I grew up with. Another set of men of steel, okay? From the days way back in the 70s when I went to Anglican school and every day we were duking it out after school, okay? To my brothers, literally my brothers, okay? who taught me a thing or two. Okay? Real men again. Okay? So I was blessed. I was able to have that rural experience. I was able to have that St. Andrews experience. I was able to have that St. George's experience. You know, it was a lethal combination. And it helped forge us into the men that we are today. So when you see we are a certain way, it's not an accident. It's not an accident. Now you know why. So all my Labe peeps and St. Andrews peeps, big up. You know who you are.
So all the Green Street and Carnage and whole Wharf area peeps, you know, big up.